13 of the scariest horror games you need to play Part 2. Starting at number 13, Visage. How scary a game feels is deeply personal. What terrifies some might leave others unimpressed. Visage is a prime example of this divide. For some, it's the scariest game ever, while others find it underwhelming. The game's non-linear structure plays a big role in shaping experiences, with the Dolores chapter often cited as the most terrifying. Inspired by PT, Visage creates a hyper-realistic, eerie atmosphere that some find tense and others frustrating. While the early chapters shine, the game's quality can feel uneven. Still, for horror fans, the unforgettable moments make it worth a try. Number 12. Amnesia, The Bunker. The latest entry in the Amnesia series reinvents the franchise's formula with a more systematic, survival-oriented approach. Set in a World War I bunker, you must gather tools and navigate its dark, claustrophobic corridors while avoiding a relentless monster. Unlike previous entries, the bunker arms you with a gun and other tools. But these additions don't make the game less terrifying. The monster's movements are random, forcing you to constantly weigh your options as you conserve precious resources. Even basic tasks, like cranking your flashlight or reloading your weapon, feel tense and cumbersome. With its oppressive setting and unpredictable encounters, Amnesia, The Bunker creates an atmosphere of unrelenting fear. Number 11. Anatomy. Anatomy proves that you don't need jump scares or monsters to create fear. In this minimalist, 20-minute game, you explore a dark, empty house, collect tapes, and listen to unsettling narration. That's it. The game thrives on its simplicity. As you wander through the darkness, your imagination fills in the blanks. You expect a scare that never comes, leaving you with a lingering sense of unease. Though some might dismiss Anatomy as overly abstract, those who immerse themselves in its world will find it profoundly disturbing. Its brilliance lies in how it turns something as familiar as a house into an alien, terrifying entity. Number 10. Devotion. This game is far more than the controversy that surrounds it. Most people know Devotion because it was pulled from sale after an artist snuck in an Easter egg mocking the president of China. For a while, it was unavailable anywhere, but now you can grab it from the developer's website, and it's absolutely worth it if you're a fan of psychological horror. The game forgoes traditional jump scares and instead plays out more like a walking simulator. What makes Devotion so impactful is its story. Without giving too much away, you take on the role of a father reliving memories of his sick daughter. His desperation to save her leads to increasingly unsettling and bizarre events. Devotion features simple gameplay, guiding players through an emotionally charged narrative that lingers long after completion. Though brief and straightforward, its haunting themes and powerful presentation make it a deeply unsettling and unforgettable entry in psychological horror. Number 9. Signalis. This modern homage to PlayStation 1 survival horror could have leaned on nostalgia alone, but Signalis carves out its own identity. It combines the influences of Resident Evil, the psychological depth of Silent Hill, and a cyberpunk flair reminiscent of Fear Effect to create something truly unique. What makes Signalis stand out is how disorienting it is. Who are you? What's your purpose? Where even are you? The game offers few clear answers, plunging you into a surreal world where monstrous creatures lurk. Flashbacks to another character confuse your understanding of reality, and the setting itself feels like an alternate universe. Signalis delivers challenging combat, while keeping you on edge with limited inventory and ammo. Since you can't eliminate every enemy, every choice feels significant, adding weight to the tension. Though not consistently scary, the bursts of horror hit harder, amplified by the game's ethereal and mysterious atmosphere. It's a strange, gripping experience that keeps you hooked, even as the story remains elusive. Number 8. The Evil Within. Tango Gameworks' debut title is a tough, grindhouse-style horror experience. While it may resemble Resident Evil 4, The Evil Within cranks up the difficulty. Resources are scarce, aiming is deliberately clunky, and even the weakest enemies can kill you if you're careless. The game starts with a bang, literally dropping you into a chainsaw-wielding maniac's basement, and keeps the intensity high throughout. You'll navigate deadly traps, sneak past near-invincible enemies, and face grotesque bosses in a world that feels like Silent Hill blended with a blood-soaked horror film. Though the sequel is arguably more polished, the first game is undeniably scarier, delivering a relentless and satisfying horror experience. Number 7. Condemned: Criminal Origins. This Xbox 360 launch title from the creators of FER is all about survival in terrifyingly realistic settings. The game places you in abandoned department stores, schools, and other locations that tap into primal fears. These environments are rendered so convincingly that they're unsettling on their own, but the human enemies take things to another level. You won't find much in the way of guns. Most of your combat involves makeshift weapons like wooden boards, which make every encounter feel desperate. The enemies, often deranged individuals, use ambush tactics to keep you on edge. What cements Condemned as a horror classic is how the settings amplify the fear. The mundane turned terrifying, like mannequins that suddenly attack or decrepit schools housing grotesque enemies, creates an atmosphere of dread. The locations are the real stars here, making Condemned a must-play for fans of psychological horror. Number 6. Darkwood. Horror thrives on uncertainty, and Darkwood embraces that by keeping players in the dark, both figuratively and literally. It doesn't explain much beyond the basics, leaving you to piece together its strange, foreboding world. After a disorienting prologue, you're thrown into the main game, where the top-down perspective, instead of reducing tension, amplifies it. Deep shadows and vague shapes create an atmosphere of alienation and dread. At its core, Darkwood is about survival, but it stands apart with its eerie narrative, strange characters, and bizarre creatures. Nights are the most harrowing as you fend off horrors trying to breach your barricades. The fog of war keeps you guessing, and the scariest moments often stem from what you can't see while hiding in the dark. While initially punishing and aimless, Darkwood rewards persistence. Its unsettling vibe and unique atmosphere make it one of the most compelling indie horror games in recent years. Number 5. Cry of Fear. This impressive Half-Life mod proves that you don't need cutting-edge visuals to create a terrifying experience. Drawing heavy inspiration from Silent Hill, Cry of Fear immerses players in decaying environments, oppressive darkness, and a constant sense of dread. Despite being free, it delivers a polished survival horror experience with limited resources, save points, and nerve-wracking tension. The lo-fi visuals add to the unease, making everything feel obscured and uncanny in ways that modern games often can't replicate. The game features disturbing monsters and well-designed mechanics, showing that even free-to-play titles can rival full-price horror games in quality and scares. Number 4. Siren. The original Siren is one of the most disorienting and unsettling horror games ever made. Its fragmented timeline and shifting characters create a sense of alienation. With no central protagonist, players experience the story from multiple perspectives, adding to the unpredictability. Gameplay is brutal, and survival relies on sight-jacking, a mechanic that lets you view through the eyes of nearby characters, including the hostile Shibito. These undead villagers act normally until they spot an intruder, becoming relentless hunters. The game's oppressive atmosphere, fueled by eerie music and unsettling mission design, heightens the tension. Though its controls and objectives can feel obscure, Siren delivers a unique and chilling horror experience that stands out on the PS2. Number 3. Fatal Frame. The Fatal Frame series isn't particularly known for deep or complex storytelling, but what it absolutely delivers on is sheer terror. The first 3 games in the series are packed with scares, keeping you constantly on edge. The core mechanic revolves around the camera obscura, a special camera used to combat ghosts. And you'll need it. Ghosts in Fatal Frame are unpredictable, appearing almost anywhere. Some may not even be hostile, but you'll never know until it's too late. The jump scares in Fatal Frame are among the best in horror, featuring creative and unexpected moments that catch you off guard. Combat is also unique. To inflict real damage, you must take a photo at the exact moment a ghost attacks. This mechanic adds a tense layer of anxiety as you try to predict their behavior. All 3 Fatal Frame games on the PlayStation 2 maintain high quality, each offering its own form of fear. While some consider the third game the scariest, others favor the second or the original. Regardless, all 3 are terrifying in their own way. Number 2. Silent Hill 3. While it may not have the haunting psychological depth of its predecessor, Silent Hill 3 is one of the most viscerally unsettling horror games ever made. A lot of this comes down to the protagonist, Heather Mason. Unlike the stoic leads from the earlier entries, Heather's horrified reactions to the grotesque and surreal horrors around her make the experience feel even more intense. For a game released in 2003, the facial animations are surprisingly realistic, and this attention to detail makes every moment of fear hit harder. The otherworld in this installment is more nightmarish than ever. Walls seem alive, shadows twist with strange figures, and the sound design amplifies the dread. The game's oppressive atmosphere makes it the most terrifying entry in the series for many fans, even compared to other standouts like the first and fourth games. If you're looking for classic Silent Hill horror, this is the pinnacle. And finally, number 1. Dead Space Remake. The original Dead Space is a horror classic, but the recent remake improves on it in nearly every way. Drawing inspiration from Resident Evil 4, it combines a third-person perspective with action elements like inventory management and weapon upgrades. While some argue the added agency reduces fear, Dead Space remains terrifying. From grotesque surprises to the overwhelming sense of cosmic dread, it doesn't hold back. The USG Ishimura remains one of gaming's most oppressive environments, blending psychological horror with intense tension. The remake also deepens Isaac Clarke's descent into madness, making it feel more visceral. Updates, like promoting weapon variety, polish the gameplay while keeping its core. With semi-randomized encounters and expertly timed scares, this version of Dead Space delivers a refined, spine-chilling experience. I'll leave you part 1 here below in the description, or click here on the screen. And that's it for today. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Not subscribed yet? Now's the perfect time. We post brand new videos every day. Be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you never miss an upload. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.